Okay, today is yoga for stress. So we're doing a little bit of a mix-up today. We didn't do yoga for stress yesterday. So today we're going to do a half and half class. We're going to do yoga for stress and then a very long meditation at the end of the class. As you can see, Kaylee's a little annoyed about the mix-up. So the theme of the week has been non-attachment. So obviously, letting go of the attachment of the schedule is Kaylee's practice for today. So we're going to start our practice today sitting in a comfortable seat. And whatever that is for you, if you need a chair, if you are more comfortable in a chair, please grab a chair. There are no points for sitting cross-legged. So find a comfortable seat. We're going to be here for a little bit. So find something that's comfortable. You want to try and feel even hips. So wiggle around. See if you can find your hips. See if you can find even on your hips. And we're just going to start to think about our shoulders, our back, starting to wiggle around, have a physical experience. So starting to get grounded in the physical body. Maybe starting to take a little movement through the spine, wiggling around, making sure that you're finding comfort. So checking in and finding these places where we often have holding patterns, and then seeing if we can wiggle around and adjust a little. Maybe pick up your hands and allow them to soften back down without thinking. So without thinking about where they are, letting them pick up and soften down wherever they feel most comfortable. Wiggle your fingers, start to soften the palms of your hands a little more. And then think about lifting your head. So rather than pulling our shoulders backwards and trying to get a big straight spine, we're going to think about lifting our head. So imagining our head is a little bit lighter and growing a little bit taller. Maybe thinking about pressing the crown of your head a little bit more towards the ceiling. And then check in on the muscles around the jaw and in the face. We're going to think about spine breath. So imagining a pattern of breath, imagining a pathway for our breath coming down our spine. So we're going to imagine that we can draw our breath in through the crown of our head all the way down our spine as if our spine were a tube for our breath. We're going to get it down to the base of our spine, and then we're going to gently send our breath up back through the crown of our head. So start to imagine this pathway, and if you want to give your breath a color or something that helps you visualize this pathway, imagining your breath coming in through the crown of your head, slowly all the way down to the base of the spine, and then gently bringing the breath out of the body, out through the crown of the head. And then we're going to start to think about all the muscles that engage with our breath, all the muscles that become active with our breath. And we're going to try and think about, as we breathe in, everything getting as soft as possible. So the softest torso you can possibly have as your breath fills up all the way to the base of your lungs. And then you're going to think about your spine and the muscles that are really close to your spine. You're just going to gently engage as you start to bring the breath out of the body. So as if you're just slightly assisting your breath with a little squeeze of your muscles. Imagine you could make a ring around your tailbone and then send a little muscular action up all the way around your spine. So breathing in, everything gets softer, 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 softer. And as we breathe out, we're going to just give a little muscular assistance to our breath to assist the breath leaving our body. Notice if you feel like you're going to add little gentle pauses naturally. Explore that. Maybe you have a pause when all the breath is in. Maybe you have a pause when all the breath is out. Explore maybe making those pauses a little bit longer. And then for the next few breath rounds, connect with the concept of bringing in fresh, drawing in fresh energy, and then letting go of what is no longer needed. Really giving your body a little assistance, a little push to get rid of what we no longer need. Perhaps thinking about every breath being an opportunity to start over. And then letting all thoughts of your breath go, and just notice how you feel. Notice the quality of your thoughts. Notice any changes in your physical body. And then come on over to a tabletop position. Taking your time, setting up in a tabletop. Toes can be tucked or untucked. We're going to move with our breath. Inhale forward, exhale back. Same thing, connecting with that nice long, slow breath. Maybe you can think about keeping spine breath throughout practice today. Inhale fresh through the crown of your head. Exhale, assist the breath as it comes back out of the body. Drawing in fresh and squeezing and releasing what is no longer needed. And here the practice is to have an internal experience without cognitively needing to process. So letting go of the attachment of exactly what is happening and tuning into the physical experience. We don't need to process cognitively to every precise detail, everything in our life. And then come on back to a tabletop position. Set up so that you're not buckling through the shoulders. A little active in the chest and arms. And we're going to take the right leg out, even with the hip nice and strong in the leg. Press like you're really pushing the heel away from you. Hold and activate the leg. We're going to bend the knee, take the heel to the ceiling, little tiny pulses. So small pulses, Activating the leg, watching for buckling in the back. We're trying to keep this movement only in the leg. Nice, slow breath. Hold the heel up, pressed to the ceiling, leg active. Take the heel over to the left and then over to the right. Nice and slow and controlled, feeling the leg. And then straighten out the legs, lower the toes, straighten out the leg, lower the toes. Press through the heel, so feeling the back of the leg. And you can take those little pulses so you can keep it static. Trying to stay connected to that nice, slow, thoughtful breath, mindful breath. Lower the right knee, set back up, steady base, left leg strong and active. Hold. Press through the heel, really strong leg. And bend the knee, little pulses of the heel to the ceiling, moving from the hip down, not through the back. Feel the leg, connect with the muscles in the leg. Feel the glutes. See if you can feel a little more active in the right glutes. Imagine you're pressing energy down through the right knee. And then lift, press the left heel to the ceiling. Take the heel all the way over to the right and all the way over to the left. Again, still trying to move through the leg only. Squeeze and connect with all of the muscles of the legs. Straighten up the leg, lower the toes, press through the heel. Lower the right knee, set up your base again. This time we're going to work with our balance. So taking the right leg out nice and strong, active through the right arm. Lift and hover the right fingers. Maybe just hovering them a little above the ground, maybe lifting the arm all the way up, nice and strong. Notice what happens when you begin to challenge your balance. Are you still breathing nice and steady? If you'd like to take this a little more challenge, you can take left arm out even with the shoulder and draw the right leg towards the right hand. Squeeze the muscles of the stomach. Pull yourself up out of the ground. Breathe. Lower the left hand. We're going to take the right leg all the way past the left. And then we're going to inhale, open up to the right. Exhale, past the left. Trying to stay very strong in the right leg. Trying to feel the muscles in the right leg. Lower the right knee. Take a little reset. And then left leg out, even with the hips. Strong leg. Right fingertips lift. Maybe the right arm. Breathe, balance. Right arm even with the shoulder. Left leg drawers towards left hand. Strong, breathe. Lower the right hand, left leg comes past the right leg. And then we're going to inhale, draw the left leg open. Exhale, bring it back past the right. Move with your breath. Watch for buckling between the shoulders. Stay strong through the shoulders. lower the left knee. And we're going to take hip circles. So sending the hips in big, long, slow circles. And then reverse the direction of your circles. And then back to tabletop. We're going to bring the weight onto the right arm. So make some space for your wrist. Make sure the right arm is comfortable, and you can just pull yourself up out of the ground, up out of the right shoulder. We're going to really lift up and open up left arm. Pull the chest open to the left side. Hold here, starting to open up the chest. Watch for tension in the neck. And then take big, slow circles with the left arm. Lower the left arm down and set up for the other side. Pulling up out of the left shoulder. Open up the chest and arm to the right side. Breathe and hold. Pull up out of the ground. And then long, slow circles with the right arm. Back to tabletop. Tuck the toes. See if you can connect with the muscles of your feet. Lower the toes back down, tops of the feet to the ground. Take your knees a little bit wider and sink the hips backwards. So coming to a child's pose shape in whatever way feels right in your body right now. Maybe you just send the hips back and stay a little active. Maybe you come to a full child, releasing down into the ground. And we're going to come on back to a seated position. So setting up in a comfortable seat, taking your time to get comfortable. We're going to work through muscles, the chest, the shoulders, a little bit with the spine. So muscles in that support our spine. So getting really even on the hips, really long in the spine. So thinking about pushing the crown of the head up to the ceiling. Feel the shoulders. Pull the shoulders all the way forward. So curl them forward. Squeeze your arms together. Squeeze your shoulders together. Squeeze. And then imagine you're going to push your sternum back and open even more between the shoulder blades. So you're pulling the shoulders forward and then pushing back, opening up between the shoulder blades. See how this feels. Squeeze a little more. Watch for any compensations in the patterns in the lower back and the neck. Take your right arm across to the left shoulder, just resting, not grabbing and pulling the other side. And then really push and open. So you're still pushing open wide between the shoulder blades. Mindful of the neck, just rest the head wherever the neck is comfortable. Open up between the shoulder blades. And then we're going to take a very slow circle for our upper back. So keeping this little squeeze opened up between the shoulder blades. Come forward with the elbows. So now we're a little bit rounded in our upper back. And then we're going to take our shoulders in a very, very, very slow circle. As if we're trying to feel every possible movement our upper back can make. Just keep the head where it is comfortable. So not rocking it back and letting it just hang out on the vertebrae. Take your slow circle for your upper back and then return. Go back in the opposite direction. When you get back to neutral, back to center, lift up upper body, release the arms. So take a little wiggle. Notice how it feels between your shoulder blades. Now we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together. So now we're going to do the opposite. Pull them tight, tight, tight together. And what we're going to do is lift one shoulder blade up, pull one shoulder blade down while trying to keep that squeeze, and then switch. So pulling one shoulder blade up, one shoulder blade down, on your back, squeeze. Trying to find connection. So you're going to use all kinds of muscles to make this movement happen, but you really want to feel the muscles in between the shoulder blades. We're going to find all those muscles that make these shoulder blades move. There's lots of muscles in behind and underneath those shoulder blades that move a lot, and we never think about actively moving them. So connect, see if we can find them. See what is held here, moving up and down. And then bring them squeezed together about neutral. So not too high, not too low. Excuse me. Squeeze and hold. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hands and arms wherever they're comfortable. Squeezing and holding. Squeeze some more. Take a really deep breath in and squeeze as hard as you can. And then suddenly release with the exhale. Notice where your shoulders land and what you feel. Take a wiggle, see what's around, see what you feel. And then take arms out, even with the shoulders, palms facing forward. We're going to work through movement of the arms. So you're going to flip the right palm. You're going to turn the right hand so it comes behind the back. And you're going to bring the left hand so it becomes behind the head. Neither hand touches the body. We're going to push behind and push the elbows back and shoulders back, and then switch. So hands come back to shoulder, they flip, the palms flip, and then they turn behind. So we're trying to find all the ways our shoulders can move. Trying to have an active experience with our arms and shoulders. Remember that nice, slow, strong, mindful breath. And then bring the arms out. Bring the palms together, interlace the fingers, pull the fingers apart. Now we're going to try and connect to the muscles across the front of the shoulders. So pull the hands apart, and then you're going to move your chest so you can start to feel the muscles across the front of the chest. Pull actively. Pull your chest left, right. Can you feel the muscles in your chest? Push your shoulder. When you pull left, right, push your shoulder forward a little. Can you feel it now? Pull. Breathe. See if you can find the muscles in your chest. Take the palms out. Flip the palms. Push the palms away. If this is too much, just press your fingers away. If this is too tight with your fingers.
I don't have chest muscles.
Huh?
I don't have chest muscles. Not there.
Press the arms away. And then let go. We're going to think about opening up through the chest. So now we're going to actively pull the elbows apart. A different way to feel the muscles of the chest. So thinking about the chest, making sure the low back is comfortable and you're comfortable in the hips. We're going to lift the sternum. So think about from right here, right at the center of your chest. Push it up. We're going to bring our arms up overhead. We're going to pull our elbows apart and to the sides. So want to be active here, not all the work coming from our low back. So pull the elbows up, back, pull across, pull, 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 open up across the chest. So you want this to be coming really across the front of the chest. Pull as hard as you can backwards. Breathe.
I still don't feel anything in my chest. It's like these are not active at all.
I know you have chest muscles because you do a lot of push-ups. So if you cannot connect to the muscles of your chest, just pull your elbows open and think about breathing in through your chest.
I just feel this in my
opening,
arms.
opening through your chest. And then we're inhaling, opening, exhaling, squeezing elbows together. So a little bit of a hollow out in the chest here. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze together. Head can move wherever head is comfortable. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck. Watch for too much tension in the neck.
Maybe they are active, they just weren't active.
Watch for tension in the low back. And then squeeze in, release the arms. Take the hands to the ground, to your lap. We're going to move through the chest. So thinking about the center of your chest, we're going to send it in a soft circle. So a little soft circle. Center of the chest moving. Try to make your circle as small and controlled as possible, connecting to muscles that make this movement happen, and then reverse the circle. Bring it back to neutral. And then we're going to think about moving from the solar plexus. So instead of thinking about pushing the chest forward, we're going to think about pushing the solar plexus forward and back, forward and back. Small, tiny, controlled movement. And if you like, you can bring your fingertips here so that you can connect to the space that you're thinking about moving, helping you focus. You could have done it with your chest too. Forward and back. Small, controlled movement. Bring yourself back to neutral, take a little wiggle. And then we're going to think about keeping attention around the navel area. Little soft circle as if we're moving from this space. So slight changes in the movement. See if you can connect to the spaces we're thinking about. And if you like, again, your fingertips can come just to this navel space. So you're thinking about your circle coming from here. Soft, slow, mindful circle, and then back the other way. Bring yourself back to neutral, check in on your base, make sure you're nice and comfortable. And we're going to think about our throat. So, think about first lengthening across the front of your throat. Maybe imagine your chin lifts a little higher up off the ground. Start to imagine you could breathe in right through the front of your throat. Nice and open in your throat. And then inhale, lift the chin a little. Exhale, squeeze the chin like you're trying to squeeze and compress your throat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squeeze and compress. Imagine you could make that same curling in space inside your throat. So you're hollowing out on your chest. Imagine you could do the same thing, hollowing out through the throat, squeezing the throat as you press the breath out. opening the throat as you breathe in. Exhale, squeeze it out. Imagine you could use your breath to squeeze and compress and cleanse your throat. And then bring it back to neutral. Make sure your base is nice and comfortable. We're going to think about the crown of our head. So we're going to bring our hands together and then open them up in a lotus shape. We're going to bring our lotus shape to the crown of our head, so to the forehead, middle of our forehead. Thumbs rest on the middle of our forehead. Imagine that you could take all of your distracting cognitive thoughts and let them fall into the cup. And then you're going to sweep your hands backwards, let your thoughts go. Inhale, draw in a little bit of fresh. Exhale, sweep. So this movement can be as small and gentle as you need it to be. We're thinking about an imaginative cleansing. So bringing in fresh to our head, releasing what we no longer need. And then come on back to neutral. Take a little wiggle. See how you feel. So this is where we started. Does anything feel different? Are you attached to looking for perfect answers and cognitive answers when we do these inquiries and we ask questions? Are you attached? So check in by trying to have an experience, looking inside. What do you feel? And then you're going to set up for meditation. So we're going to lay down for our meditation. Find your props, find whatever you need to make you most comfortable. Take your time to set up. Kaylee has a bunch of props. I don't know if you can see this, but she's still glaring at me for this not being a full meditation class. She's clearly not getting the non-attachment message of the class.
I'm very attached to my yoga nidra.
Sometimes life throws you curveballs. That's just what happens. So set up so that you are comfortable for the rest of your practice, because we are going to do a long resting meditation. So starting to release yourself into the ground, the support below you. Starting to connect with all of the muscles of the body. So we're going to take a moment to think about all of the muscles of the body. We're going to work through the physical body, starting to give permission to each of the muscles to release and soften. So we're going to start at the feet. Maybe give a squeeze of the feet, a gentle squeeze of the feet, just so you know what's present in the feet. A little warmth, a little attention here. And then take a deep breath in and soften everything in the feet with the exhale. So as you're sighing the exhale out, let everything soften, particularly in the feet. And from the soles of the feet, we're going to imagine that the little balls of softness are right here. Little balls of moving, soft, swirling, releasing energy. And you can give it a color. You can give it a temperature. Some people connect to cooling energy. Some people connect to warming energy. So imagining whatever helps you connect to these, so that you're drawn into a fully physical experience. So imagining the warmth of somebody's hands at the soles of your feet, connecting to that concept. And then you're just going to slowly and gently, whatever that connection is, maybe it's a color, draw it up into the ankles. And imagine the ankles are getting softer. Maybe thinking about the actual space inside the joint of the ankles and softening into this space. Maybe imagining a little more space in the ankles, undoing all of the little steps and twists and turns that our ankles have taken. And then working your way slowly up the lower legs. So imagine you could find the bones in your lower legs and you could just gently swirl this softness, starting at the ankles, going all the way up, softening everything, softening the muscles, the tendons, the skin, everything in the lower legs. Soft, fresh, swirling energy moving up the lower leg. And then land in the knee joints. Think about this space. Think about imagining you could inject softness and fluffiness in between this complicated joint. Imagine you can soften in on top of the kneecap, behind the kneecap, the skin on the back of the knee. Imagine you could polish the joint, polish the bones that meet here, undoing any wear and tear in the knee joint. And then find the bones in the thigh, bone in the thighs. And soften your awareness around the bone. Imagine you could slowly walk your balls of energy around the thigh bone. Softening all of the muscles, softening the skin. And then landing in the hip joints. Thinking about these joints, thinking about being able to undo wear and tear in these joints. Imagine you can make more space, more softness. And as we land in this space, perhaps taking a moment to tell yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. All of the muscles that support this space, the glutes, the thighs, the muscles in the core, the muscles in the lower back. Imagine by telling yourself that in this moment your needs are met. You are giving all of these muscles permission to soften and release their burden. Imagine you're giving just a little bit of trust to the ground below you. You're going to feel your bones begin to feel heavier in the body, softening into the muscles. Maybe you can imagine the muscles of the low back and the glutes and the thighs being so soft that the bones just kind of melt into them. And then we're going to imagine we're going to bring these two balls of energy in our hips slowly across, and they're going to meet at the tailbone. And we're going to imagine that we could walk this one singular refreshing ball of energy up our spine, connecting with one vertebrae at a time. Imagine you could send your awareness around each vertebrae slowly and gently. And with this awareness, you're releasing any holding of any muscles. Imagine you could just magically realign the bones, release holding patterns in the spine. And imagine again you could inject soft, fluffy space in between each vertebrae, undoing wear and tear. Slowly walking your awareness up your spine, one vertebrae at a time. Pausing at the space of our shoulders and imagining that softness spreading across the collarbones into the shoulders, connecting with the shoulder blades, landing heavier into the muscles, releasing the weight of our shoulders. And maybe here again, reminding yourself that right here in this moment, all of our needs are met. And we can soften and take a break. And gently send your awareness down the arms, checking all the way down to the palms of the hands. Checking in on the fingers and the palms, looking for any gripping here. Sending a little more softness to the hands. Release what is held. Let go and soften. Gently draw your awareness back to the center, back to the spine, and we're going to walk our attention up the vertebrae in the neck, checking in, seeing if you can bring more softness. Imagine you're gently extending the space between each vertebrae, making your spine a little longer, a little more open, a little more free. A little refreshed. And then we're going to pause at that meeting place of the spine and the skull. Think about the weight of the skull, how heavy this is. And think about releasing that burden of holding it up into the ground. Letting all the muscles that support our head soften and loosen and take a break. And perhaps again, reminding ourselves that right here in this moment, all of our needs are met. And we can soften and take a break. We're going to think about our spinal highway. So we gave our spine lots of space. We're going to connect to the inside of our spine, this place where all of these nerves run up and down our spine and throughout our body. Think about when bones are misaligned or muscles are gripping, how that affects our whole system. So imagine softness from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Softness, space, refreshing energy. Imagine that our spine is completely free of holding patterns and misaligned bones. And that our brain can send messages all the way down to the tips of our fingers and the tips of our toes with ease. And then all the messages from the tips of our fingers and the tips of our toes can go all the way back to our brain with ease. Freely moving. And then back to paying attention right at the base of the skull. Checking in here for any gripping here. Maybe you can imagine a giant ball of energy right at the place where our spine meets our brain. And this ball of energy is slowly softening and expanding and growing and softening every cell that it touches until even the skin around our jaw and at the base of our neck and the base of our skull is so soft and so relaxed. Maybe we can feel softness at the tip of our nose, softer eyelids. Maybe we can begin to feel softness starting at the very base of our ears and softness all the way out, imagining we can hear more clearly, that our ear canals are soft. And then slowly bring your little ball of energy back in. So not compressing, but just shrinking it down so that you're really resting in the center of the brain. So you can think about this in a kind of anatomical vision. You can think about the top of your spine and the brain on top, and you can think about the center of the brain. Or you can just think about being right in between the ears in the very center. Bring all of your awareness to this place. Become entirely this space. So maybe your ball of energy still has a color or a temperature, a movement pattern that you're watching. Become entirely this space. Notice that the thoughts are still around. The thoughts are there. They're firing. But the thoughts are in another layer of your brain. They're up a little higher. They're in the cognitive parts of our brain. We bring all of our awareness just below them into the more automatic part of our brain. So we're letting go of the attachment of being entirely our thoughts, of the attachment of diagnosing and describing and cognitively needing to fit everything into its own little pattern and box. And we're resting just below all of that. It is not that that is wrong. It is not that we wish that never to happen. We respect the brain and the cognitive mind and what it does for us in our world. But we're getting to know that this whole space, this whole organism, this human experience that we have is not just that cognitive experience. And that there's a whole system at play here. And we can reach down inside to the other parts of our system, letting go of the attachment of the cognitive world. Resting here in the center and having an experience. And take your time resting here. Notice when your thoughts, your physical body, or your environment pulls you away from the center point of your brain. And gently begin again, just starting with all of your awareness, like a little ball of energy, right on the top of the spine, the meeting point of the brain and the spine. And then that softness slowly expanding and cleansing from this center point. Notice that you can notice your thoughts. Notice that you can also notice a little space in between the thoughts. And then we're going to move into a practice of softening around the thoughts, letting go a little more of attachment to the thoughts. So notice what it is that draws your attention away from the center point of the brain. Perhaps it's a sound, perhaps it's just a distraction in your environment. Maybe it's a common thought pattern, perhaps the to-do list or something else that your brain is frequently pulled to. And whatever that distraction is, try to see it as a visual, as a thread that's pulling you away from the center of your brain. And just imagine cutting the thread and letting it drift away. Not diagnosing, not cognitively explaining why this thought pattern is, not cognitively trying to understand why it's that particular sound that always bothers you, but just seeing it as a thread that's pulling you away from your center focus for today. And we're just going to chop it and let it slowly drift away and watch it drift away. And then perhaps the same distraction thought pops up again. And again, you're just going to chop it and watch it slowly drift away. Patiently letting go. And drawing back to that center point. Imagining a soft, fresh, moving ball of energy right in the center of our brain. Maybe even thinking about the center of our brain being the place for the feel-good chemicals in our body. And we're going to rest right in those feel-good chemicals, that feel-good ball of energy. And each time one of the distractions pulls us away, repeating, chopping it, letting it drift, returning to. Center point freshness. And if you have the time to take, spending a little more time practicing, drawing back to center, chopping your distractions. Please take all the time that you need. Turn us off, practice. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, we are right on that 60-minute mark. So you're going to start to slowly draw your awareness back to your physical body. Bring some gentle movements to the fingers and the toes. Slowly start to bring a little movement to the legs. And then curl yourself up in a ball in a fetal position and take a moment to be in the fetal position. And thinking about letting go of attachment to whatever your body, your inner intuition is ready to let go of. And trying not to cognitively describe that. So we all have memories and patterns and things that we actively want to work on processing, letting go of. The practices here are more of a whole body experience, and we're trying to have an experience of connecting to those places where the memories might be holding physical patterns in our body, where the memories might be causing stress in our body. And rather than thinking about them in particular and being very cognitive about it, we're imagining visually a whole body experience of being a little more soft, ready to let go of whatever is ready to be processed and let go of. Trusting in our body's intuition to guide us through, trusting that Perhaps some of these unusual emotions that come up in a yoga practice. Maybe sometimes we giggle for no reason. Maybe sometimes we get very angry and we have maybe no cognitive understanding of what that might be. Letting go of the need to have that understanding and just having that experience. Letting that emotion flow through. Letting that experience flow through without the head stopping it. And then when you come on up to a seat with your hands at prayer, imagine yourselves a little bit lighter, a little bit softer. Connecting to your inner wisdom. Maybe imagining your shoulders a little bit softer. Your lower back a little bit softer. The muscles of your jaw and your face a little bit softer. Imagine your brain as a muscle and imagine it a little bit softer. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. Thank you so much for joining us.